Okay, so like I said, thank you for joining our webinar. AllCloud and Checkpoint have come together to talk about why MSP for cloud security and why now. So Raoud is going to be very kind and she's going to work the slides for us today. So Raoud, can you move on? Thank you. So I will present the speakers in a second, but before I do that, I want to go through what we're going to be talking about during today's session. We are going to cover the importance of cloud security, especially when companies need to move quickly and to adjust their work environment accordingly. We're going to talk about cloud security during those times. We're going to talk about why AllCloud chose Checkpoint's CloudGuard Dome 9 is the preferred solution as part of the MSP package for AWS customers. And then we're going to go and rethink cloud security with CloudGuard Dome 9. And that's going to be Afik who's going to be presenting for us. So Raoud, can you slide? Thanks. So very quick agenda. I am going to give the intro session. My name is Talia Schmidt. I head up marketing for AllCloud in EMEA. Then we're going to go through AllCloud's MSP program, and Nati is going to present. Nati is the head of the Cloud Managed Service Program at AllCloud. And we're going to move over to Afik Regev, a security engineer from Checkpoint, who's going to talk about cloud security with CloudGuard Dome 9, and he's going to give a demo, and then we're going to go into Q&A. Slide. All right, so this is who we are, just in case you want to look at some pictures. Like I said, I'm Talia Schmidt. I head up marketing for AllCloud in EMEA. That's Nati right there in the center, and then Afik Regev, who was so kind to join us from Checkpoint. Slide, please. All right, so very quick overview of AllCloud. Who is AllCloud? AllCloud is a cloud solutions provider, and we work with clients in 7 global operating centers around the world. We have centers in Tel Aviv, in Berlin, and in Munich, in Germany, and 3 locations in North America. That's New York, San Francisco, and Toronto, and we also have an office in Bucharest. We have over 2,500 very happy customers and over 300 AWS and Salesforce certifications. Slide, please. All right, just a quick overview of the competencies we have with AWS. I guess this is most relevant for this presentation. So we do have 5 different competencies on AWS. So we specialize in migration and security, in DevOps. We work with Microsoft workloads, and we just received our 5th competency, which is the SaaS competency, and we're very proud of it. We're also part of the MSP program at AWS, and we have over 150 AWS certifications. Slide, please. All right, so this is where I pass it on to Nati. Nati, you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Talia.
Sure.
So what does it mean, managed services, and why do we need it? Yeah, like the cloud is great. We get so many incredible tools and processes that can make our lives much easier. There's no doubt about that. The benefits are too long for us to go into here, but what we can say is that the IT landscape has been completely revolutionized. Our processes are no longer limited to our on-premises capabilities. Slide, please. And I think the most important change in this revolution is in the cloud is that its accessibility and elasticity and how easy it is to work with. We all have access to all the technologies that the cloud has to offer, whether you're a DevOps engineer, a developer, or a security expert. And this access, if not governed and controlled correctly, could be a double-edged sword. Managing cloud infrastructure requires skill and expertise unlike before. Mistakes in the cloud could become very costly with both financial and reputational implications. Here at AllCloud, we believe we found the right recipe to properly govern AWS environments by defining guardrails and change management processes that protect our customers and accelerate actually their business goals. The managed services program focuses on pillars such as operational excellence, security, and cost optimization, which allows our customers to actually focus on the business and their application development rather than on everything else. Slide, please. Though in this webinar, we're going to be introducing Dome 9, we want to be clear that it's one out of three domains that provide you that full protection you need when running your digital assets on AWS. In other words, it's an important part of a larger picture. Security is managed in all levels, from your AWS account all the way down to your single host or a serverless stack. AWS account security focuses on identity, traceability, data protection, and continuous compliance, where the perimeter network security focuses on protecting your edges from layer 3 and 4 volumetric attacks, like DDoS. And protection covers both your inbound and outbound network traffic, for example, web filtering, VPN connections, and inline intrusion detection. Where web application security focuses on your layer 7 protection, which is usually public by nature. Slide, please. So, as I was saying, security events comes from everywhere. When working with multi-account, multi-region environments, it becomes quite a challenge to manage and control the compliance and security posture of your infrastructure. Changes happen in a much faster pace than before. It's not enough just to trigger a security event. What matters is that you know how to handle these events by defining a detailed security event management flow with proper mitigations. With Dome 9, we aggregate all of our environments. It provides the tools we need for compliance and threat detections. Features such as continuous compliance, where we quickly identify near real-time drifts in our infrastructure and respond accordingly, such as complete visibility to all of our resources, no matter where they are. This also helps you to identify unused resources and breached events. Region lockdown and security groups management, so even administrator users cannot override. And of course, it integrates with Security Hub, where other security events are aggregated. So now we have all of our security events, no matter where they originate from, centralized in one place with a single pane of glass. And I will let the experts from Checkpoints to dig deeper on that. So I think that with that, I'll hand it over to Afik from Checkpoint.
Thank you, Nati. Let me just share my presentation real quick. Okay. One moment, sorry. And I think you can see me now. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Afik Regev. I'm a cloud security engineer in Checkpoint. And I would like to talk to you today about one of our cloud security products, Dome 9, and how actually you can benefit from using Dome 9 with AllCloud's managed services to get security, compliance, and visibility on your cloud accounts. As Nati said, I think that it's clear to say today that the main benefits today we get from moving to the cloud are flexibility, elasticity, scalability. Today we managed to implement and deploy environments in the cloud really quickly, to pay for what we use, to implement it as codes. And I think these are the major benefits of what we see today in cloud environments. However, with these benefits that we get from the cloud, I think that today we can see that we also get some challenges, especially in the places of security and controls and compliance. And the question that comes up is actually, who is responsible for security in cloud environments? What happened when I decide to take my cloud environment, when I decide to take my, my on-prem application and move it to the cloud, move it to AWS? Am I secured by default by the cloud provider, or are there steps that I need to do? So the model you see in front of you, it's actually the shared responsibility model that AWS published. Other cloud vendors follow this, and they share the same path of handling security. And basically what it says that the responsibility for cloud security is split between the cloud provider, aka AWS, and the customer and the cloud customers and the customers of these environments. The responsibility is actually split in the following way. Basically, AWS or other cloud vendors, what they say is that they're responsible to secure their infrastructure. They're responsible to secure their data centers, their availability zones, regions. They're responsible for the physical security. They're responsible for the network security, to defend their networks with the latest and greatest security tools. And they're responsible for patch management of their own hypervisor that the customers are running their environments on. However, at this point, I think that's where they the line is crossed, and they say from now on, this is the customer responsibility of securing his own environments. And when we're talking about the customer responsibility, we're talking about actually patching, installing security updates, installing on the customer operating system. We're talking about securing the networks, the parts of the networks that you get inside of VPC, inside of the subnets you take from AWS. We're talking about encryption of a database or sensitive customers' information, etc. AWS and other cloud vendors actually help us secure these or take our part in securing these environments. And they provide us with encryption keys and encryption tools, and they provide us with firewall or security groups to actually control the access. They provide us with IAM to control our users' credentials and users' permissions for what they can do. And what's actually really interesting is Gartner actually researched this, and the results are actually very interesting. They're saying that between 95 to 99% of cloud breaches in these years were actually not because these cloud vendors, these cloud providers didn't secure their environment good enough, but due to customers misusing, misconfiguring, or actually not configuring these native security tools that these cloud providers provide. What DOM 9 came to do is actually to allow this elasticity, this flexibility that the cloud provides. However, to close the gap between these benefits to the security challenges that we can see. DOM 9 was born in 2010. It's I think it's one of the oldest and most mature cloud security products in the market. It's a SaaS application. It's 100% API driven. Fully support on AWS, was actually born on AWS to secure AWS environments. Fully support in other major clouds as well as Microsoft and Google. And recently we actually added the Kubernetes support as well. And DOM 9 was created in order to close these gaps and to help getting control and visibility of cloud environments in the following manners. The first thing that DOM 9 gives you is complete cloud visibility. So the idea of DOM 9 was to provide a single pane of glass, one place, one SaaS application that I can actually see all my AWS accounts, all my AWS regions, all my AWS availability zones, each of the instance or service that I use, and to gather more information about them. This is how it looks like. This is DOM 9. This is the main screen. This is the main dashboard. We can see here, just as an overview, I can see the amount of accounts that I have on the different clouds. I can see the amount of assets or features that I'm actually using. I can get statistics on each and every of these features, and I can actually drill down to each and every service and get more info of the configuration. We will see that later on in the demo. The second challenge we felt we have, or customers have in cloud environments, is what we call network security. Controlling this access, controlling these security groups, controlling these firewall rules. So if we take a look, for example, here, this is one security group in AWS. It has a list of sources and protocols and ports to allow access into VPC or into certain resources. And as we can see, even in medium environments, so let's say medium environments, we can see dozens of these security groups. In big environments, we can see hundreds or thousands of these security groups. And sometimes we actually see that some of the resources are attached to one or more of these security groups. We found that it's really, really hard to go over these lists, to go over this IP addresses and protocols, and to try to understand how the cloud environment looks. Who can actually access to my cloud, and which protocols or IP addresses my cloud environment is exposed to. What we actually did with this information, we collected this metadata, we collected this security group rules, and we decided to take a different approach. We decided to take something that we took from a bit from the on-premise world, and to actually draw a topology map. And what we actually did, we took this security group rules and we drew this topology map. And this topology map, what it says, it's basically dividing my VPC. This is a VPC. It's dividing my VPC from the internal zone, what we call the backend processes, the backend services, the databases, the instances behind the scenes, all the way to what we call the DMZ, whatever I want to publish out, my web servers, my load balancer, etc. Sorry, and I can actually see the different IP addresses and the different direction of who can access my environment. Now, the main feature of this tool, and I think before I said that 99% of breaches to the cloud are due to misconfiguration or exposing database or exposing internal resources outside to the internet. The main goal of this view is to actually show you how the environment looks like and to find misconfiguration. If, for example, I would find a database that is open on an administrative port outside of the internet, I'm in a huge danger of exposing my entire environment. This is the second part. The third part that we found that is really hard, really challenging to manage in cloud environments is everything related to compliance and to regulation. So what we actually did, we decided to open this documentations. We took for each cloud vendor, we took the documentations of each regulations. We currently support 12 different regulations, 12 different bundles, and around 8 more best practices. And what we actually did, we wrote thousands of compliance rules. And the idea behind it was that by a click of a button, we can run a complete test of thousands of rules into your account and give you a compliance scoring. This is how it looks like. This is our compliance report. As you can see, in this example, it's CIS Foundations version 1.1. And in the click of a button, and we will see this in the demo, in the click of a button, I got a score of 12% compliant. I can see every test that was taken, every rule that was tested, every entity that I tested, every location every region that I exist on in this cloud environment, and whether I'm compliant or not. I think this tool, along with the managed services from AllCloud, what we can do with it basically is to run it in the environment, get the scoring, and the goal is that along with AllCloud, we can push for the 100% compliancy. The last step, or the last pillar of this security tool, Dome9, was actually taking the next level. So we said we're checking the configuration. We check whether or not you're vulnerable, or you have misconfiguration in your cloud environment, or you don't use the native tools right enough to secure environment, and we try to push you to become for your environment to become way more secure. However, what happened if you're already breached? What happened if you're already attacked? If you're vulnerable and you're already attacked? So what we did here in Checkpoint as a security company, we actually understood that we hold this huge threat intelligence. We have currently, I think, more than 100 million security gateways, perimeter security gateways that basically pass traffic to the internet every moment. This huge intelligence that we have allows us to enrich what we call logs, to enrich the traffic that we see in cloud environments. And when we actually check how we get this information in AWS, this is the example. Here we can see a flow log in AWS. This is how it looks like. Every second we can get hundreds to thousands of these logs. And basically, if we really want to read them and try to understand them, we can see that it's probably here, my account number of AWS, and this is the network interface, and these are the IP addresses. But it's really hard to analyzing this thing to understand if there is actually a breach here. So what we did, since we saved the metadata, since we hold the metadata of the account, first of all, we can translate this whole thing into this. We can actually say that this ENI and this IP address is actually one of your Lambda functions, or it may be one of your Lambda functions from a few days ago that replaced its IP already. And by querying this IP address that it's talking to with our intelligence, we can actually see this is a command and control server, a botnet server that is actually talking right now to my cloud environment. So basically, I have malicious activity inside my cloud environment. And what we actually do with that is we take this with this nice view. We actually show here the real traffic based on flow logs, and we can actually show you if there is a malicious activity in your account. With this activity, we can create alerts. We can actually alert you that there are malicious activities in your account. And the last and final step that we thought that can work here is not only to detect it, not only to alert the breach, is to actually control it. So the last part we created here, we call it CloudBots. This is an open source. This is an open source feature that we created. It's fully public. It has a public Git and everything, and you can actually write your own bots. These bots are based on Lambda functions and SNS topics. And basically what it does, it takes these alerts from the threat detection tool, it takes these alerts from the compliance engine, and it can perform auto remediation or automatic actions. For example, if I found out I have one of my servers open too exposed on port 22 on SSH, I can allow this alert to send a notification to the Lambda function, and the Lambda function to go and actively close this port, delete this rule from the security group, etc. I can encrypt databases with it. I can force password changes. I can do many, many things. Currently, we have, I think, around 36 bots written for AWS. And you can, as I said, it's an open source. We can always write more. I would like to go over really quick to a quick demo of Dome9. Let me jump to it. So this is Dome9. This is Dome9 connected to a real cloud environment. And this is the main view. This is the main overview page. And what we can actually see here is, as a first glance, I already got my cloud poster. I can see 12 AWS accounts, some additional multi-cloud accounts in the same page. I can see the amount of instances I'm currently protecting, and the amount of load balancers, application load balancers, Lambda function, file system, RDS services, the security group number I hold, As you can see here, for example, in this account, I hold around 69 instances. However, I hold 718 security group firewall rules, firewall sets of rules. If I continue to this visibility, I can see here, I took my production account, my AWS production account, and I can actually see the different, how compliant I am to the different regulations. So I took ISO 27001, and I can see that I'm 72% compliant. I took PCI DSS, I took GDPR and HIPAA, and in a glance, I can see how compliant I am to this environment. And soon we will go into one of these reviews, and we can see how I can push forward and getting them 100% compliant. The next thing we share here is some alerts, some security alerts that we collected from the account. Network security alerts, for example, at security groups with administrative ports that are too open to the public internet, like FTP, SSH, RDP, etc. We can see here some alerts on IAM policies, users, and roles. We can see here users without MFA. We can see here users that didn't connect the system or didn't connect AWS for 90 days. However, they have a policy, they have permissions. So maybe it's time to go over this. We can see here alerts on S3 buckets. I can see S3 buckets that are not encrypted, that doesn't have logging enabled, that are publicly accessible, etc. Now I would like to continue a bit to what we allow in terms of visibility here. So let me just clear this filter real quick. So I can actually go and drill down here and go to the level of every asset, every feature on every region, and check its feature. So let's make a quick demo. For example, let's say I want to see all my AWS features in AllCloud account that are connected, and let's say I want to see all the EC2 instances, for example. And then I want to choose one of the regions. Let's say I want to see it only in Oregon. And then I want to see only the ones that are running, the ones that are stopped are not interesting for me at the moment. And let's take it one step higher and say, I want to see all the ones that have a public IP address, all the ones that are publicly accessible. And that's it. I got this list. I can export it as with a CSV. And I have a huge way to filter here and to drill down to every service, RDS, Lambdas, S3 buckets, etc. The second part of visibility I want to show you, and I think it's really important, let me just go here really quick, is my ability to visualize and control network security. We talked about it a bit. Let's give it a second. Let me try again.
Whenever you do a live demo, something like this absolutely has to happen, right?
Yeah, this never happens.
Yeah, this never happens. This never happens.
Okay, let me try again. I apologize for this.
You didn't pray to the demo gods.
I didn't pray to the demo god today, yeah. But I think now it will be okay. Refresh it can solve all your problems sometimes. And let's see if it works. I'm wondering if that's my internet. Okay, so I think we'll continue to the next one and maybe I'll go back to it later. Oh, now it's up. Great. Okay, I'll continue to the compliance and later on I'll go back to the visualization. It's a really cool feature. Okay, so let's talk a bit about regulation and compliance. So as I said, we currently support 12 different 12 different compliance bundles. We wrote thousands of rules here, many of the rules that check the environment. And as you can see, we have CSA and SOC 2 and HIPAA and NIST and PCI DSS and the different version and ISO and GDPR. And I want to show you how easy it is to actually run this assessment on your environment. So I'm going to run the assessment right now. I can choose to run it on all my AWS accounts, which is nice. I can get a full visibility on everything. Right now, I'm only going to do it on my production account. And usually it takes a few seconds. But the demo guides are not with me. Okay, so it took a bit more than a few seconds, but still really quick. We ran 5,048 compliance checks on this AWS production account, and this is what we get. We get a really nice compliance report. As you can see, I'm currently 71.2% compliant with my production account for PCI DSS. You can see that half of my failures are with high severity, which is pretty bad. I probably need to fix it. We can see the failed entities that I tested, and we can actually see the different regions I have in the world, and where did I fail, and how many tests I actually failed on each region. And if we go back, if we go down a little bit, we can actually see the different tests, the different rules that we checked. And I'll just give you one example for it. Let's take this nice example of S3. So we have this test for S3 buckets, and they say that basically, according to PCI DSS, and here you can actually see the section in PCI DSS that relates to this. According to PCI DSS, if I have sensitive information on my S3 buckets, I need to make sure it's encrypted. I need to enable what we call encryption at rest or server-side encryption, and to make sure all of my buckets are encrypted. As you can see, I have 76 buckets, and some of them may hold sensitive information. 72 are not compliant. So I only have 4 buckets with server-side encryption. This is something that I want to solve. I actually show here the list of every bucket that is not encrypted, and this is how the report works. I share the description of why we need to do it from the beginning, and we share the remediation. How do I get this one solved? How do I get this gap closed? I need to go to S3 on the console and actually check the server-side encryption. And the nice part that I told you about before with what we call auto remediation, which is very interesting, is what we do here. What I can actually do, I can take this alert of the compliance alert of buckets that are not encrypted, and we actually already wrote this bot, this Lambda function. That what it does, it says whenever you find a bucket that's not encrypted, just raise this notification, raise the Lambda function, and go and encrypt this bucket. Of course, I can exclude some buckets here that I don't want to encrypt, but this is a very cool automatic tool. And what it can actually do, once we manage to take this account and to make it 100% compliant for PCI DSS, the next time that one of my DevOps, that one of my developers, that someone will create a new bucket and will not encrypt it, my system can monitor it. It can find this new bucket and it can go and encrypt it automatically. I think that's a really cool feature. I want to show you one more thing. In addition to compliance framework that we have here, which are great, we have also 7 best practices already written for AWS. Very cool stuff like container security, rules that are only related to container security, rules related to S3 buckets only, rules that are related to serverless architecture and well-architected framework, for example. And the last part here that I think is really important in the compliance engine is your ability, in addition to the bundles or rules that we already created for you, thousands of rules, is the ability to actually to run a test yourself. to actually query stuff yourself. So let's take this really simple example, but I think it can show exactly what you can do. Let's say that I want to see all the instances that have a public address, for example. I can actually click on, let me go back, sorry. I will go back and do it from the beginning, I think. So I can actually choose here every supported feature that we have on AWS, and I can run instance, very simple language, the governance language we created. Instance should have is public equals true. And the moment I run this, I can actually choose the account to run it on. And let's do it on production as well. And in seconds, I was able to run a query on the account and to find out how many instances currently do not have public IP address. And right now I have 76 instances in total, and I have 53 instances that do not have a public IP address. This I can do, I can dive in really strong, and we have a very full documentation on how to run this test on every one of our features. Now I would like to try again. Let's try again clarity, and if not, we will skip it for today. That's a shame that it works a bit slow. Okay, we're in. Okay, great. So this visualization tool, it's actually a visualization tool, but in addition, it's also a network security control. So what I can do here, I can actually choose my production account. I can choose the region, and the first thing I get is visualization of my entire VPCs. I can see all my VPCs in this region, and I can see all the connections between them, the VPC peering. Now, what I actually want to do, I want to do a drill down. I want to take all this security group, all this firewall rules, and I want to create this nice drawing or a topology map to show you how exactly my environment looks like. So as you can see, what I got here full visibility on my VPC, and I can see here in my internal zone that I have my database servers, and I have some servers in the backend servers. And if I go all the way here, I will see here the web servers and the load balancers. I can actually see the different rules, the IP addresses that are allowed, the different protocols, etc. And I can actually even see the lines of, you see this blue or orange lines that can show me the relations, who can actually reach, which IP can actually reach these features. Now, as I said before, the major feature is here is to find misconfiguration. And I can see one really clear here. If I go to the DMZ, and that's usually where I look for the DMZ or the partially open services, and I can actually see here that I have something very strange. It's called DB servers, and I have two instances, two databases. It seems like, and I can actually see that I have a DB server security group, but I also have a default security group, which scares me a bit. This default security group. And if I go to the rules, I actually see it allows a very permissive 22 SSH port to the all public internet. So these two databases right now are exposed. What I would like to do with this, and this is something that I can do with DOM9, what I would like to do with this, I would like to actually open this security group. And this is one of the tools I get here in DOM9. I can actually, in write mode, in full protection mode, I can actually modify these security rules. So what I can do here, I can actually decide to edit this SSH rule, and I can see that it's open for everybody, and I don't like it so much. So what I can first do is I can make it limited, which basically means I can edit a source IP address of 1111, and I say only this. Let's say I need SSH access, so I can give it only to one public IP address. But what we actually invented here is a way cooler system to handle such permissive administrative port. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to save this. I'm going to save this security group with TCP port 22. The rule still exists. However, no source can actually reach it. So basically, there's no access on TCP. And what I can actually do, I can perform get access or send an invitation. Let's say I need to send an invitation to one of my users or get access for just-in-time access. And if I click here, access for 1 hour. What happened right now behind the scenes, there is an open security group rule for port 22 on SSH to this databases, and it took my public IP address, and it now allows me this access for the next hour. And in 1 hour, it will die. What's good about it is that if I'm being scanned, no one can see that I have port 22 open. And I open it just in time, and I do not open it for the entire day. That's a pretty cool thing here. If we go back now to Clarity, by the way, if we'll refresh this, we can actually see that these database servers that were in the DMZ that were clearly vulnerable for attacks, look what happened to them. They actually now jumped here to the internal zone, and they're actually now protected and no longer here in the DMZ. The last thing I want to show you today is our threat detection tool. So here as well, what we do here, we keep the repository, we keep the information, the metadata of your cloud environment, and we build this dynamic flow logs chart. This is actual traffic passing to your account, to your different services. And as we can see here, we have actually a CNC server, malicious botnet traffic talking to my Lambda function inside AWS. And what I would want to do here is to create an alert, to create a bot, and to close this traffic and to not allow it to talk to each other. Okay, let me go back to my presentation real quick. And I'm very excited to tell you that what we in AllCloud decided to do these days, we are offering connecting your cloud accounts, your AWS or multi-cloud accounts to Dom9 and get a free security assessment, which basically means we connect your account. It takes less than 2 minutes to connect an account. After 30 minutes, we already hold all the metadata, all the information, and we can actually give you a free security assessment, show you full reports, compliant reports, show you where we think you're vulnerable, which controls and security tools you should enable, and we do it free of charge, and I think it's really cool. That's it. Thank you very much, guys. I would love to hear your questions now.
Okay, so I think, thank you, Afik, very much. I think that was great, even with the demo gods not smiling down on us. I'm looking at the questions. There is just a couple here that I think are worth kind of calling out, and they're both. I mean, you guys decide who takes this one, but. How long does the implementation process take, and what does it include?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's exactly what I talked about in the last second. Mm-hmm. Implementation process, first of all, it takes, we call it onboarding. Onboarding to a new cloud account takes really, I feel that it's too much when I say 2 minutes. It takes less than a minute. What it actually takes from you guys, from your side, we from basically need, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry?
From AllCloud, from the AllCloud side, you mean?
From AllCloud and from the customers. Mm-hmm. What it actually requires is to create a role. We need a role with an IAM policy that we can share with you. I can share it with everyone that wants to know. You can see exactly what kind of permission we need. And basically, you need to allow our AWS account to fetch this information over API. That's what we do. We fetch metadata only through API, and we have API limits to not cause throttling. And up to 30 minutes, we usually take the entire metadata of the account, which means after 30 minutes, you can already connect to your Dom9 account and see everything that I just showed you. But that's pretty much it. I would love to share the IAM policy and then the role requirements.
Okay. Nati, do you have anything from your side?
I think that from the managed services point of view, so the onboarding itself of Dome 9 would be really quick. I mean, just like Fig described, it's basically just creating roles and doing some magic on the Dome 9 side, and there you have it. Within a few minutes or an hour, you can already see reports, and that's great. But once we have those reports, then we start defining the plan of how to start remediating those gaps to increase the security posture, to bring it into a normal level that we can work with as part of the MSP program, right? Because you got to remediate some stuff. Some things you can't just leave open, and some, especially if it's a high severity issue. So we introduce Dome 9, we get all the reports in, and then we start doing the continuous compliance, and we constantly strive to increase the security posture and increase the score, and of course, start creating remediation plans.
Interesting. So it's not about the first implementation or the first onboarding, it's really like the process after. That's what you're saying.
Right. It's like a two-phase thing. You got the onboarding part, which is the first part to get the data in, but now you need to continue getting the data in and implement those specific incident responses of what happens if somebody touches my S3 bucket, or if somebody touches a certificate in my environment. What do we do? How do we react? And that's on an ongoing basis.
All right, very interesting. Thank you. So next question is from Uriah W. And he's asking, are there compliance rules and checks for lambdas and steps functions?
Yeah, so of course we have a full compliance set, and we even have our best practices for serverless that aims exactly this lambda functions and the step functions.
Great. Okay, next question from Anonymous. Anonymous is asking, how are you able to implement rules against the infrastructure? Do you request rule assumptions or API keys?
Yeah, so that's we do it over API. We do it with roles assumption. Yeah, we need you to create IAM policy, a role for us for another AWS account to fetch this information over API. Yes, so both.
Okay, so thank you, Anonymous. One more question from Anonymous. This could be someone else, though, so it might not be the same Anonymous. So, does Dome 9 have specific protection capabilities for IoT services? For example, IoT Hub service of Azure?
Yeah, I think I got this question already. Currently, I must say that I don't think that Dome 9 is the right place for IoT protection. IoT protection is a different kind of field. I can honestly say that we're here in Checkpoint implement other IoT security tools, but I think the concept of protecting IoT devices is based on the payload, based on the traffic that is actually monitoring the traffic itself. So I don't think Dome 9 is the right place to go, but we have some tools here in Checkpoint that can help.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very, very much, guys. Those are all the questions we have today. Any last comments, Afiq, Nati?
Yeah, I can just say that I'm first of all, I'm here for any questions from everyone. And if I would love to actually connect these accounts and give you the security assessment, I think you can see a great value from getting this report, from getting this information. So I'm here for every question, and thank you so much for your time.
Super. Nati, any last words?
No, just was a pleasure to be here. Love sharing our MSP concept and Dome 9. And have a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're going to be sending out the link to this webinar with the thank you email, so stay tuned for that and more content coming your way from AllCloud and Checkpoint. Thanks, everyone.